The best video game console, pound for pound, is the Super Nintendo, in my opinion. And one of my favorite portable systems ever is the original Game Boy. It is what introduced me to portable games from Nintendo, and I have a lot of nostalgia with this system. If you take the two and you combine it, you get the Super Game Boy, which was released here in North America. Absolutely incredible little system. It's a full Game Boy in a cart that you can slot load your Game Boy games in. I got it hooked up behind me. And I got my little Game Boy here as well. I'll show you guys how that works. So, here we are, we're starting up. Very cool. There it is. But it did have one fundamental flaw, guys. Actually, a couple. It didn't have a link port to allow you to trade your Pokemon. And it also runs at the Super Nintendo's clock rate, which means there is some stuttering. And some of the sounds are kind of messed up. They're a little bit more tinny because it's running a little bit faster than the original Game Boy hardware. You know what? That's not a big deal. It was pretty awesome to be able to play this on your TV. So we kind of let that kind of go, right? But the reality is there was a solution, but it was never introduced here to North America. Well, I just got one. I ordered it. It wasn't cheap, but here it is. It is now ordered, and it is awesome. It is the Super Game Boy 2, folks. The Super Game Boy 2 fixes the clock rate. It fixes the link port. You can actually see it has a little link port on the side here. And it's a sexy little thing. It's pretty cool. It's translucent. You can see our cart all the way in it. It fixes all the problems of the Super Game Boy. Of course, there is mods for the Super Game Boy that allow you to fix it. But, you know, they're a little bit painstaking for people that don't know how to solder very well, that kind of thing. And this does it all. One thing I wanted to mention too, guys, before I forgot, is actually there is actually a controller for the Super Game Boy. It's made by Hori. It was only released in Japan. I do plan on getting one. I don't have one at the moment, but you'll see a picture of it here. Very cool, and allows you to actually slow the games down and that kind of thing. You can only do it with that controller. Just something neat that I thought I would add. So what we'll do now next, guys, I'll show you another little thing that people don't realize. You can actually use the SNES mouse peripheral to actually go into your menu. If you press both at the same time, you can actually do your menu functions. You can go into your borders here. There's lots of cool ones to choose from. I always pick the theater one for some reason. It's really, really cool. And yeah, you can actually draw your own borders and everything. Because you can use the mouse, it's even better, right? But yeah, this is an amazing little piece of kit. So what we'll do next is I'm going to, on the fly, I'm going to hook up the Super Game Boy and get that up and running, or the Super Game Boy 2 and get that up and running. Pop this sucker out. Pop in Zelda, of course. And, word of warning, I will say this cart is made for Super Famicom. And because of that reason, you have to cut the little tabs off inside your system. This is a heavily modded system, so I didn't mind doing that. But if you have an OG system from your childhood and you don't want to do that, you can actually get a Game Genie, and you can get other types of extenders that allow you to do that as well. So we'll pop into Super Game Boy here, guys. Super Game Boy 2 pops up. It looks a little bit different. Super Game Boy 2 pops up, and sounds a lot more original. It doesn't sound as tinny. And the scrolling is actually a lot better on this system. The borders are different as well, and it keeps its support for the SNES mouse. But look at these borders. These borders are incredible. So you got the black border, of course, that's just basic. But then you got all these other ones that are just so cool. You can see a translucent Game Boy. We can go into some other ones here. This one's kind of fitting for the game we're playing. Look at that, the tropical beach, right? Some other ones here. A lot of people didn't even know this existed, right? There's a lot of people in North America don't even know that Super Game Boy 2 existed, but it is pretty damn cool, I'm not gonna lie. It's nice to be able to show it off, just all in one take of how it all kind of works, right? And then we got the Dolphin one, my personal favorite. And of course these are screensavers, so if you leave it inactive, it'll actually kick into gear and start working. But yeah, it's pretty cool. If you look at them both side by side here, guys, quite a bit different. Pop that one over here now so you can see it. But here it is. Here's both of the guys side by side here. So you can see that this one's a little bit more blocky, keeping traditionally with the you know, the overall aesthetic, and this one looks quite a bit more sleek and premium. Unfortunately, you do have to cut the tabs, plastic little tabs for region lock off your Super Nintendo to use it. But yeah, Super Game Boy 2, I strongly recommend it, guys. If you are looking for the most authentic way to play your Game Boy games on your TV, this is a great way to do it. These are pretty cheap, though, the Super Game Boy, the original, and you can actually get a $10 mod that allows you to fix the clock rate and add the crystal oscillator. So yeah, guys, this has been the Game Boy 2 and the Super Game Boy. These are incredible little devices and one of the best reasons to own your Super Nintendo outside of its awesome library. Don't forget to like and subscribe there, guys, if you like this kind of thing. We'll see you next time here at Koi Fish Gaming. Bye now.